This is everything you need to know to build sub workflows inside of a single list in ClickUp. So the thing you need to understand about building sub workflows in ClickUp, as I show it here, is that these are not technically sub workflows. If you go to ChatGPT and say, how do I build a sub workflow? It's not going to show you this because ClickUp doesn't technically have a sub workflow feature. But this is how you can shove sub workflows into a list or into another workflow without having to create a separate list. Okay, so we're going to be using custom fields and views to create the illusion and the functionality of a sub workflow. So in this example, this is for a video production agency. So let's say you have a media agency or a video production agency, and you have a major big workflow that consists of these statuses: new idea, drafting, filming, editing, and complete. Now, if you've ever run a media company before, or if you've ever done media, you know there's a lot more steps to bringing media to life than just these. Maybe these are the overarching steps, but there's a lot of sub workflows that maybe fall into each of these individually. And that's kind of how we're going to explore this. One way of doing this would be to create a separate list in ClickUp for these sub workflows. But that's not really a good strategy because it separates out your work, makes people confused about which list I'm supposed to be in. And if you're not a pro ClickUp user, it can create a lot of confusion. So generally in ClickUp, we want to keep things as simple and close together as possible, or else ClickUp becomes a giant mess. So here's how we're going to do that. We have our, what I call major statuses here. And what we want to do is we want to create sub statuses to each of these statuses that we can filter by. And what you're left with is a set of what looks like sub workflows. So let's take one of these statuses that might have a set of sub statuses or a sub workflow that goes along with it. Let's take filming. So filming might have a sub workflow of ready to film, scheduled, filming in progress, and filming complete. Maybe that's a sub workflow. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use drop down custom fields to create sub workflows. So we're going to click on the little add column. We're going to click drop down. We're going to say filming sub workflow. And then we're going to create those workflow statuses: ready to film, scheduled, filming in progress, and filming complete. And then we're just going to change this color up a bit so it's a little more different from the other ones. Okay. And then always give your custom fields emojis. I could spend a lot of time explaining why, but just trust me, always give your custom field an emoji. So there we go. Now we have created our filming sub workflow. So how do we use this? Well, from our list view, we can see, okay, the filming task, we could see maybe is in the scheduled portion of the filming sub workflow. We could just simply use it as a list version of this, but this doesn't really feel like a sub workflow. What makes it feel like a sub workflow is creating a view that is just dedicated to grouping by that drop down custom field. Okay, so this is what that looks like. We have our project list here. We have our production board that is sorted by the statuses of this list, some major statuses. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add another board. And instead of grouping by the status, we're going to group by the filming sub workflow. And then don't forget to save. All right. We're going to change this to filming sub workflow. And then the last thing that we're going to do is we want to filter out any of the tasks that don't have something set for that workflow, so that things like this, an empty column, doesn't appear. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a filter that says if the filming sub workflow dropdown custom field is set, then we want to see it on this board. That way we don't have a bunch of those empty tasks over here for ones that don't have anything set for that. So what does that do? That makes this Kanban board look like its own unique sub workflow, right? Because we have the major production workflow, we have the big workflow, the all encapsulating workflow, and then we have this sub workflow that is just the filming sub workflow. And to do you one better, on our cards here, we can go ahead and show by clicking the little gear icon, clicking fields, we can toggle on the filming sub workflow here. And now for each of these tasks, we can see in which phase of whatever sub workflow we're looking at that task is in. Okay, so for this particular task right here, how to create a ClickUp task, it's very easy for me to see, oh, this is in the filming in progress stage of the filming sub workflow. All right, and so now in the filming sub workflow, I can move this task all over the place without affecting the major status of the original task. So now if I move how to create a ClickUp task to complete back on my production board, now I see that it's complete here. Okay, so as I change things in this sub workflow, they reflect back here. Now it says scheduled. If I move it back to ready to film, now it shows ready to film here. And then vice versa, if I were to move this to filming in progress here, now it's filming in progress there. So we are using views and filters to create sub workflows. And each one of those drop-down custom fields is a sub workflow. And all you're doing here is creating views. Instead of grouping them by status, you're grouping them by that drop-down custom field, and then you're filtering out any tasks that don't have a value set for that custom field. Okay, so we see that none of these other tasks appear in that workflow. Why? Because they have nothing set there. If I suddenly were to set this task here, for example, to ready to film, now it pops up in that filming sub workflow. So how does this work out in real life? Well, let's say your job in this media department or in this production company is just the filming portion of the workflow. You only care when a video is ready to be filmed. So for you, you wouldn't need to pay attention to this board of all the projects or this list of all the projects. You would only need to pay attention to the filming sub workflow. And once something appears here, then you know, oh, okay, this video is ready to film. I can click into the task and see everything about it, but you only have to pay attention to what's here, okay? So let's say you have everything in filming complete, and now you're just waiting for something to drop in here. Well, let's say this video now moves into filming and is ready to film. Now, if you're paying attention to this filming board, now you see, boom, you have a task that's been dropped in the beginning of this workflow. So if you pay attention to this board, you can just see the filming statuses. This works really great if you have a lot of different people working in a department in one list, and you want to tell them, hey, just pay attention to this board. Then they're only seeing the tasks that are relevant to them. Now, to take it one further, you can also do this with a list view, not just a board view. The board view is just the easiest way to demonstrate sub workflows. If we add a list here, and we call this filming list, we can do the exact same thing. All right, instead of calling this, or instead of grouping this by status, we're going to group it by filming sub workflow. We're going to save it, and then once again, we're going to apply that same filter where we only want to see things where the filming sub workflow is set. So now I can see just the tasks that are in the filming sub workflow, and I can see their status. Right? So if I want to take one of these tasks here, this one, okay, this one needs to be in the filming sub workflow. I click ready to film. Now it appears in the filming list, and it appears in the sub workflow board. And then in the production board, I can see all of the statuses of these sub workflows for these tasks. So that's how you create sub workflows inside of a single ClickUp list. Now you could add a bunch of drop-down custom fields here, okay? So you could have a drop-down custom field, a sub workflow, if you will, for new ideas, a sub workflow for drafting, a sub workflow for filming, a sub workflow for editing, and a sub workflow for a completion, maybe post-production sub workflow. I'll just show you one more of these just to kind of demonstrate a little bit further. Let's make another drop-down custom field, and we will call this editing sub workflow. Let's give it an emoji, make it a pen. And then we'll say ready to edit, editing in progress, under revision, approved, and then maybe complete. Okay. So now that we have this drop-down custom field set, now we have a whole nother set of sub workflows. So now we can go ahead and make another board view. And we can call this editing sub workflow. We're going to sort it instead of status, or I'm sorry, instead of grouping by status, we're going to group by editing. We're going to save it, and then we're going to filter for editing sub workflow is set. And we're going to save it. Now, quick hack here. You can get into view hell is what I call it when you have a ton of views up here. Most people don't know that you can do this, but you can absolutely go over to your list, hit the three dots right here, and then you're going to click more and then group views by type, and that will create drop downs per view type. So it's a little easier to aggregate things. So now we have our editing sub workflow. right here. Okay, so let's play this out. In an actual scenario, let's say you have these 3 videos in filming and this video is in editing. Now we're going to show our editing sub workflow here. And maybe these are all in different phases of filming. Okay. And this one is in editing. So the filming has been complete. And now this is going to be ready to edit. So this task right here shows up in both the editing sub workflow and in the filming sub workflow. If we go into the filming sub workflow, we see that the filming is complete. If we go into the editing sub workflow, we can see that it's ready to edit. And now as I move this through editing, okay, I can see, okay, in editing, the filming has been complete and the editing is under revision. So you can have a bunch of these workflows. If you have a task that needs to exist in multiple statuses at the same time, what you need is sub workflows or different drop-down custom fields for different groups of statuses. So this is how you create sub workflows inside of ClickUp without having to move to a whole different list or set of lists. If this video was helpful to you at all, please make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if there's anything else ClickUp related that you would like to see. We also run a completely free school community that is just for ClickUp nerds. So if you have questions about ClickUp, you can find us over there at school.com/ClickUp. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.